Hello, and welcome to our website review series where we have Podia pros review real Podia websites, share their expertise, and answer your questions. My name is Ben Tolson, and today I'm joined by Podia Pro educator Marie Drouvin. And Marie helps French entrepreneurs find the right tools, launch their projects online, and set up their technical ecosystems. She also manages Just French It, which is an online school of French with students in over 32 countries. Today, she's going to review 3 websites for us. Marie, thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm very glad to be here. Very happy to be here.
Yeah, we're honored for you to be with us. Before we get started, I wanted to ask you a quick question. This is in 2 parts. So the first part is, what is your most favorite thing about being an online creator? And the second part is, what is your least favorite thing?
Oh, that's a good question. The big reason why I became an online entrepreneur is because I hated the alarm clock. I hated having to wake up and take the car and go somewhere, and I hated that part. So that's my favorite thing today, is not having to set an alarm clock. And probably my least favorite thing is the fact that you can't quite leave your work at home. You can't live it where it goes with you everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely feel that. I still set an alarm clock. I wake up most days around 4:45 a.m. because I try to get my workout in
Wow.
before I start my day. So I'm punishing myself. I'm like punishing myself, and that's, not taking advantage of my flexibility. Um, and then I also, do all of my work from home. Do you work from home, or do you have an office that you go to?
Yeah. We are in my home right now. This is my living room.
Nice. Yeah, same. Well, before we get started, I wanted to kind of give a breakdown for the folks who are watching live of how this is going to work. We're reviewing 3 different websites, and we're going to take those one at a time. And after each one, we're going to take a short break to answer questions. And so as you're watching, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat, and we'll bring those in during that question and answer time. All right, Marie, are you ready to? Sorry, Marie, I need to take
Yeah.
your Just French It course. So, are you ready
You're
to
very
dive
welcome to
into?
it.
Yeah, I got to check it out. You ready to dive into the first website?
Yes, I am.
All right, here we go.
So,
This website was submitted by a relationship coach who helps clients achieve a level of self-love and acceptance combined with curiosity and compassion. Very cool. Their main question
mhm.
is there too much on my homepage?
Yes, and the short answer is yes. But there is plenty of things on the homepage that is actually working here. The first thing is, when you arrive there, you see straight away what it's about, and that's the main purpose of your front page, right? It's to tell what you do, and to catch people, and to speak to prospect directly, right? And that is something that is working really well here. We understand straight away with your hook here that find your way to peace, happiness, and more loving relationship is definitely what we want. But if we scrolling down a little bit more into your page, it's true that it is very long. It is very, very long. But there's plenty of different parts that are working. One thing I want to say also is that your website is very personal. We see your face, Sorel, straight away, and I think that's very human and that's very good there. But we see your face here. We see your face again here in your biography, which is actually really good too. And it might be a little too much, a little redundant at times. It's especially clear here on the first 2 blocks that you have. You have a block that is very well written, with a call to action straight away above the fold. So that's really good. But then you have another block that has the same purpose. This block and this block have the same purpose. You sending them to the free booking, I suppose. Is that clear? Ben, do
Yes.
you understand me?
Yeah. So, excuse me. Pardon me. Just one moment.
No problem.
Yeah. So what you're saying is both of those blocks look like they kind of take up about the same amount of vertical space, which is lengthening the page, which is something you called out. But they're also attempting to do the same thing, sending someone to the same place, correct? And
Yes,
so
exactly.
it feels a little bit redundant, like maybe there needs to be something in between the two to break it up, or maybe they
I
just
think,
don't need that second part.
yeah, I think you could get rid of the second part here. It's good because it's also centered on the pain points of your client. In the first one, it's more positive. You're talking about what you can do for them. But the second one is too much. Either you include the pain points in the first one a little bit more, and then you get rid of this one, and you're already saving like a big piece in your front page space. That makes sense.
Absolutely.
And
So a question for you on, because
yes,
one of the things that we encourage creators to do with some of those selling sections is to have, they have the main call to action, but to also find places, especially on a sales page, and sometimes creators use their home page like they use a sales page. So, but especially on a sales page, to take opportunities to address specific pain points and use those selling sections to give visitors additional opportunities to get into. So maybe the personal one didn't really speak to them, but then they see something listed in the pain point that is very specific to a struggle they're having, and they're like, and that kind of gets the visitor to tune in. So how would you, so kind of taking the different approaches, there's that personal one at the top. How could they take the pain points that they mention in that second section and kind of incorporate those without it feeling too overwhelming or over the top?
there is two answers there. Either you break it down into something that is not really text, like a list, like a bullet point list. That usually is very efficient because it doesn't take a lot of space, but at the same time you are showing that you understand the person that is arriving on the website. The second way you can do that is incorporate it into the text, and you've done that actually here, Sorel. You said maybe you are struggling with stress, anxiety, depression, or PTSD, or your relationship is a bit of a car crash, etc. This is really good. These here, it's the pain points in a text format. Maybe you can develop it a little bit more, and so that way you don't have to have the second block.
That makes a lot of sense. That's a great insight. Thank you.
Good. So what else? And it's kind of, I mean, the same thing applies to different parts of your front page. Here you have, it's very visual here. I like the fact that you've used the square, the windows here. It's really visual, and I think it draws the eyes to what needs to be addressed here. But if I remember correctly, it's like you're doing it again here. There's two parts with it, and I'm not sure we understand what is the difference between what you're talking about here, like the different services that you have, the one-on-one coaching, the women groups coaching, and then this second part here goes back, it goes a little bit deeper into the coaching, so maybe that needs to be on another page so that people who are interested in coaching will click on coaching and then arrive on the page where there is a little bit more information about the different kinds of coaching that you offer.
I see what you're saying. So she devotes a lot of space to her various coaching offers and has something to say about each one of those. And so you're saying it might make more sense for it to be more concise and say that coaching is one of the offerings, and also mention that there is more information somewhere. I think I may have just lost Marie, so I'm going to see if I can get her back. Give me just a moment. All right, while I'm waiting for Marie to rejoin, going to say hey to Mark. Thanks for tuning in. And also Gloria from El Salvador. Thank you for being a Podium member. And yeah, we're really excited to roll out this Podia Pros program. I'm going to say more about that later in the stream. So. All right, well, I'm going to, I don't have a technical difficulties screen, but I'm going to go ahead and put up Marie's profile for now and see if I can find where she is and bring her back so we can move on to our other sites. So I will be back in a moment.
What we've done today. All right, can you hear me, Ben? I cannot hear you, though. I don't know if it's my... Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I can hear you. We're back.
Okay.
Sorry about
Good.
that.
Okay.
It must be
Oh,
on my end.
no problem. So do you want to jump back into that website and kind of pick up where we left off?
Yes. So we were talking about the fact that you had coachings at several points during the page. And you have to remember what is the purpose of your front page. And it all depends on where are the people coming from. If people are coming from Google and just searching a quick coaching, relationship coaching, and they're arriving on your website, then they're going to need more information to convert into clients. But if they are coming from, let's say, your social media like YouTube, maybe they've watched a video from you before and they're arriving on your front page, then the purpose...
All right, I think we may have just lost Marie again. Her screen share is still up, so I wonder if maybe... Okay, here we go.
Okay, I don't know why I'm disconnecting all the time.
It's no worries. We can just take it from you were talking about if they're coming from social media and they've
Yes.
already... Yeah.
Yeah, and so the purpose is not the same. If I click on the tab, will I be disconnected again? Let me check.
Oh,
Can you still hear me?
yes.
Okay. Okay, I'll keep an eye on the little red dot over there, see if I'm still connected. So yes, the purpose is not the same depending on where people are coming from. So you need to ask yourself, what kind of information do I need to put in my front page for people to get to know me and want to work with me long term, or are curious enough to check out what I have to offer? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then if somebody is familiar because of things that you've posted on social media, they're already familiar with your coaching, and you want to make it easy for them when they land on your homepage to just find that information quickly. And otherwise, you want to
Exactly.
use that page as a way for people to get to know you and build that know, like, and trust factor.
Yes, exactly. But in both situations, the purpose is more or less the same. You need to lead them where they need to go. And if there is too much information, people don't know where to click. So you
Hmm.
need to concentrate the information. And if you need to, then you can send them to another page that will have more details and route them towards the page that is the most appropriate in their case.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, all right. What other did
So
you have any other notes for this website?
That was the main point. But yes, there is another thing that you can do when you have long texts like this, and we'll
Hmm.
see that again in with another website. You can do a little bit of formatting there, because your eye needs to be able to scan the text very quickly. So if you are using bold and italics and you're making shorter sentences, it's easier to read, and people, I mean, the goal is for people to read what you have to say also. So to make them easy for them, use those formatting things. Like, for example, when you have a big text like this, it should be easy for me to identify the very important parts of it, for
Yeah,
example.
absolutely. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I kind of think about it like a newspaper when you think about headlines, and how the headlines are designed to grab people's attention, and to, if they only scan the headlines, and they'd flip through the newspaper and they only scan the headlines, they can tell you what most of the stories are probably about.
Yes, and they will pick out on what is interesting to them as well, because they will find the words that they are
Hmm.
interested in. Yes, so
All
that
right.
was basically my view on this website. But the text is on point, the copywriting is on point, and I think you're doing a great job with being human there and coming across as someone who has expertise as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that review. I'm going to check and see if we've got any questions from folks. And I also want to call out, uh, I think Maya says hello from Arizona. Thank you for tuning in.
Oh, hello, Maya.
All right. And Gloria sharing that it's helpful to be able to have the Spanish language option as well. Um, yeah, and I'm sure that's something that also comes in handy for you, just having different language options and being able to share your website. All right, you ready to
Yes.
dive into the next website?
Yes, I am. Let me find it. Yes, there you go. I am ready.
All right, here we go. So, this website was submitted by the founder of a public benefit company focused on financial empowerment. And their main question is, how can I restructure my site for maximum efficiency?
That's a good question. And I think that's a very important question when you're building a website is, how can I say what I want to say and show what I do in the most efficient and clean way possible. And I think here we have a good example of that. This website, super, super clean. The lines are super clean. The graphics are very fun as well. I think it's a very fun color scheme that you have here, and probably it makes you stand out from other financial themed websites. And yeah, so that's good for you. And I think you're speaking French as well, because I saw that you have here, yeah, a little French thing. So that's very fun for me. What do I want to say to you? So is this efficient? Yes, your structure is okay. It's clean, and that's basically what we're asking of a structure is, is it clear where I should be clicking to get to what I want? And here I think you're achieving that. But there are a few things I'd like to point out to make it clearer, but those are not necessarily structural problems. Those are more like copywriting problems.
Marie, can we pause
One
for
thing that,
just a moment?
yes,
Um, are
sure.
you on the website that you're on right now? Can you scroll all the way to the top for me? I just want to see something. Or are you already at the top of that website?
I am already at the top of that website.
Okay. So
Should I
can you
share the website?
reset or reshare your screen? Because I think I might be frozen on my end. I'm getting comments that they're still seeing the first website. So I think we have a little hiccup
Okay,
on my end, and I want to just make sure it's.
great. Let me chip. Are you seeing this one then?
Yes. Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm going to
It should
assign
have,
that. And there we go. All right. So let's go ahead and take that
yeah.
from the top since folks weren't seeing that. I apologize. I don't know what was going on with that, but now it
No?
looks like it should be working.
No worries. It looks like it's on my hand that I have technical issues. Don't know why. But anyway, I was saying, and as you can see, this website is super clean. And I think that's all you can ask in terms of structure. Is it clear where I should be going? And are my eyes attracted to where I should be clicking? And in this case, yes, we have buttons that are popping up. We have different designs things here, windows that are very clear as well. And even if we go up, down the screen, we have the different parts here. Once again, it's very clear where I should be clicking. And I think that's very important. So it's something that you should be asking to review your own website. Am I sure where, is it clear for my clients where they should be clicking? So that's one thing here. The buttons in particular are very good, and your copywriting on the buttons are very good too, because that's a tip for you here. If you want to make sure that people know where they are going, use verbs in your buttons. Learn to invest, discover, schedule a meeting, book a call. That usually makes it super clear. Is that clear what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that tip using verbs uh,
Mm,
instead of just kind of the standard button format. But yeah, I think psychologically when we see a verb, we're more likely to kind of think in those terms, think in terms of taking action. So that's a really great call out.
yeah, exactly. And I was also saying that the colors were very fun here. We have colors that are not necessarily usually, we don't see that with like finance is the word, finance theme websites. It's kind of fun here, and I think I like that. But one thing that you can do to make your structure clearer is to work on your copywriting. So the buttons copywriting is really good, but when we're looking at your titles, especially here, and then later a little bit too, but especially this part, I think you should concentrate more on the benefit that it gives your client rather than what it is that you actually give. And what I would do is I would invert this part here, and actually this specific part. So learn to build wealth as a title, and then explain that you're doing that in your trainings. So it speaks more directly to the person that is on your website to have the titles with clear benefits in there. So in this instance, you would have learn to build wealth, get feedback on your situation, and what was the last one? Oh, yes. Increase your chances of success or find support and experience. Something more tangible. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a fantastic call out also, because when somebody's, you think about the experience of a visitor who comes to this website, they're not necessarily looking for training, they're looking for what that training will do for them. And so that should be the headline. Love that.
Definitely. Focus on the benefits. And it should be the same in all the different parts of your website. And we've seen that on Sorel websites, actually. She was very clear about it. In her title, it was all about the benefits, right? One other thing I would like to point out here, and that's more of a design thing. This part is actually important because it's where you are showing that you are an authority in your field. Like you are a firm that is actually registered at the Swiss Financial Market Supervisory, all that. So that should be maybe a little bit more popping, right? Because here it's a bit lost in between your very good design of those parts, but then that means that here it's not so clear. What you can do, and I'm not sure you've done that. Yes, you have this here. Maybe you could do something like this with a visual for the fact that you are registered, because that's very important when it comes to money, right? If I am a client and I want to come to you, I need to know that you are registered. Does that make sense, Ben, to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I almost, as I'm looking at it, and I'm so glad you scrolled down to the bottom, and um, that's, seeing, it's so funny to me because seeing kind of a spread of different logos like that, somebody who's looking for something, that a service this person offers might recognize one of those logos. But it also, when you see logos just spread out, there's automatically kind of an assumption of expertise. And it almost doesn't
Yes.
matter whether or not all of that is accurate. In this case, I'm sure it is, but yeah, it almost seems like if they moved just that section with that kind of dark blue background
Mm.
up and included those logos with that
Mhm.
text in white, and it just kind of, popped that way, that seems like it would be a more effective use of that tool of trying to show authority.
Yes. And it's very important in the theme of money. Authority is a word I can't pronounce. But the fact that you are registered, I mean, the first thing I did when I got my Podia Pro badge was putting it on my website, because that proves that, I know what I'm talking about. And in your case, it should be the same thing. This should be obvious to the person who comes on your website. What else did I want to talk about? Yeah, no, your structure is okay. One other thing that maybe you could do, because we only see your face here. I mean, I like the fact that you included testimonial as well. That's really good. We only see your face here. Maybe it would be interesting to have your bio on your front page as well. And again, we're going back to this certifying and human and authority kind of point. Seeing a face is always a good sign.
Yeah, absolutely. Just building that know, like, and trust.
Definitely. And it's the same on your French page. If we go into your French page, we see you a little bit more actually on your French page. Okay, so Google wants to translate it. On your French page, we see you a tiny bit more because I suppose you have more content in French. Maybe you could do something like this in English. Maybe you don't have the content yet, but maybe put out a little bit more content with that is a little bit more personal. Building a relationship with the person is important in that case. So yeah, do you have anything to add, Ben?
I do not. This was a fantastic breakdown, and I love that you called out the authority thing, especially as it relates to the specific industry this person is in, and also other folks agreed about the colors. Project 2 Million says, "I agree. Very clean, good colors, not overcrowded." Yeah, I love just kind of the playfulness. It feels like it sets this apart from other companies that probably do the same thing but have a more kind of serious facade.
Yes, and I think he several times during the website. I wouldn't know on which page to go back to, but he actually introduces this little character as a mascot, and I think that was a good touch as well. It's very different.
Does it say anywhere what that character's name is, or is it just?
I don't remember. I didn't write it down, but
Oh, okay.
somewhere on the website, it's there. There is this information somewhere on the website.
Yeah, but I see he does use it a couple of different times on that page. It's great.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and bring in a couple more comments before we move on to the last website.
Yeah, sure.
This was actually one that was related to the first website,
So
and I think this is kind of a good summary of what you were describing. It says, "Get rid of half the words on each page. Then get rid of half of what's left." And that's a quote from Steve Krug from Don't Make Me Think. I like that a lot. Yeah, and then just folks agreeing with you. Mark says that he really likes the website layout, and of course the one that I shared earlier, Project 2 Million, says very clean, good colors, not overcrowded. All right, are you ready to move on to the last one?
Yes, I am.
All right, here we
There we go.
All right, so this website comes to us from a mentor and copywriter who empowers mom bosses to grow their businesses without sacrificing their families. Their main struggle is creating a Podia website that's aesthetically pleasing and easy to navigate without being overwhelming.
Yes, and I can see here Amy. I think it's Amy. In French, I would say Ami, but I'm going to stick with Amy. But yeah, I can see that you are very concerned about design and you have a specific color scheme. There is a sort of ambience to your design as well. It's very delicate. And that reflects in the colors that you've chosen there. And the attention you've put on the different design elements of your website. But I feel like you've gone a little bit too far in trying to make it too pretty, and we're losing the simplicity and we're losing the clarity of your message a little bit, especially when you're writing with that font here. And that font on the background that you've chosen, it doesn't pop. But the fact that you are speaking directly to moms is actually the core of your message. So maybe that should pop a little bit more. And how I would do that actually with a client is I would have them delete this picture and put that into a title. And what you could do is combine those two elements here into something that is a little bit tighter. And we have the same problem here. The fact that you have this orangey red here on a white background, we don't want to read that text because it's harder to read. And if you compare it, for example, to the blue that you have here it's very easy to read because there is a lot of contrast. But here the contrast gets lost here a little bit. What you can do to increase the I'm not going to be able to say that word, contrast contrast, you have two options. You can get rid of this color and replace it with something else. That would be the best option. Second option is to increase the thickness of the font. That would make it a little bit easier to read as well. And the third option is to format. And we're going back to this advice that I gave Sorel already. Use the bold and the italic in your text so that we don't have to read everything and we can just scan the text. If it's interesting, then we'll read it completely. That's usually how it works on the internet. People scan, and then if it's interesting, then they read completely. But it needs to be scannable, and here it's not scannable. Do you have something to add, Ben?
Not really. I mean, those are such great call outs. We recently released a video. It was talking about the main navigation, but it really applies. One of the things that we talked about in there really applies to any text. Having a font that's legible and making sure that it contrasts well with the background so that it's easy to read. And one of the examples I used of what not to do was like a really light purple papyrus font. Are you familiar with papyrus?
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
And it was not only difficult to read because of the font, but also the color. But anyways, yeah, that's one of the, like, if you're thinking about informational, like she says in her question, and you're really thinking about, I want to make sure people get this information, then one of the first steps is making sure that the information you're sharing is something that people won't feel hesitant to read. Yeah, like looking at that orange text against that white makes me feel a little bit hesitant. I'm like, I don't know if my eyes want to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, we all want to believe our clients are reading everything we're writing, but it's just not the case. And one of the ways that we can increase the amount of people who actually read what we are writing is by formatting, by using the right colors, by contrasting a little bit more the background in the text. So what you can do here, because this area of your website is actually very important. It's what we see when we arrive on your website. Maybe there needs to be a call to action here. What do I need to do to stay in contact with you? Is it booking a call with you? Is it joining your newsletter? Is it joining the Facebook group that you have here, the Mom Entrepreneur Network? There needs to be something there. And your button is actually there is one here, but we're already like halfway down the page when there is the first button. So maybe that needs to go up. So what I would do is I would actually do a newsletter block in Podia with your picture and a little text of who you are and why they should join the newsletter. And then you will have the time to get a little bit more detailed about who you are and what you do for people and your story.
I want to bring in a comment real quick because I'm curious about your thoughts. This is from AI Marketing Plan, I think is the title of the commenter. Says, I would add a second text section for the last two paragraphs under this one so that the white space is fixed.
Where exactly?
I think they're talking about that first, that big section. So saying I would add a second text section just for the last two paragraphs under this one so the white space is fixed. So maybe they're saying that there's too much white space and too much text.
Oh yeah. There is something here, and that's why the picture, I would put it up there so you would only have text underneath. So you would have the picture on the left or the right, doesn't really matter, a little text with your form here and a button, and then you can have this text that is formatted how you want it to be formatted without the picture. So it's not so awkward with the with yes, the white space that you have above and under your picture here.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, having something a little bit shorter so that that picture is one of the first things they see along with, because that also kind of attracts the eye too. So if you get there and it's just the text, but the picture's too far down for you to see, you're maybe not as drawn to it.
Yes. If I can actually, I think Sorel did that well. It would be like if Sorel added a newsletter form here. So you would have the picture, the text, the newsletter, and then you can scroll down to have more information. It's very quick to do
Mm-hmm.
too. And something else I wanted to point out with the elements that you've done, the different pictures that you've made up here. Here, it's just not readable. It's good that you included the testimonials, but I can't read that, and I have good eyes. So this maybe you should use the testimonial block on Podia. There is a testimonial block actually. I can show you. If we add here, we are in the web in the editor of the website. You have a block that is called testimonial, and then you only have to fill up the different spaces here, and it's going to be much clearer and much more readable than what you have here. And you won't have to do all that Canva or Photoshop part as well. If you want to modify something, it will be easier to do it.
Are those just images? So that's not like selectable text or anything. It's just images.
No, it's just images.
Okay.
It's just images. I mean, that's a good tip when you want to do something that you can't do in Podia. Sometimes there are things that you can't do. Then making an image in Canva and putting the image on your website, good. From a design perspective, that's a good idea. But here, it's just not readable. It's not working. And also, when you're doing that, you have to modify the picture and then change the picture on your website when you're doing that. So it can be a little bit more work when you wanted to change something on your website.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like in many cases, the trade-off. So in this case, for example, it looks like she worked really hard on these testimonials and spent a lot of time putting them together. And maybe, from her perspective, the testimonials function maybe doesn't give her the ability to create the aesthetic she wanted or whatever, but the trade-off here between having kind of native functionality and being able to easily go in and change those things out, I think makes it worth it to use the more native functionality where you can.
Yes, exactly. And we're going back to her question, which was how to make a homepage that is both pretty and useful, informational. Then we go back to this, maybe simplifying what you want to do. And I know you have great ideas when it comes to design. I know you probably have an eye for design, but sometimes doing simpler things allow you to say things in a much clearer way as well. If you don't overcomplicate things, it's going to be easier for you on the long run and right now as well.
That's great. That makes a lot of sense.
So yeah, that was my main concern with your front page was this. Simplify it and you'll find that it's prettier in a lot of ways and more clearer for your future clients, prospects, and clients that you already have, I suppose.
We have quite a few questions and some feedback on this. I want to bring one in right now, kind of related to what you've been sharing already. And so this is from Gloria. Says, I would add another page to share her story. I think it's too much for the homepage. So it's that part that starts with, I took a long and winding road to get here. And
Yeah.
so that, um, and, and this is kind of a principle we talk about a lot with bios. Anytime you're talking about yourself, you're talking about yourself, but you're also linking your story to the struggle that somebody is coming to you with. And so it seems like she does a good job of that. But this comment is kind of pointing out that maybe the use of that on the homepage, and the length of it is just too much for the homepage. That should live somewhere on the site, but maybe like a shorter version of that. What are your thoughts?
Oh, yeah. I think when you are thinking about writing your bio, you should write two versions, a short one and a longer one. The short one is the one that you're going to put every time there is an opportunity to put your bio. So it could be on the sales page, it could be on your front page. And Podia gives you this opportunity actually. When you go in Podia, if we're going back here, you're adding the bio block or the section. This is a short version of my bio, right? It only has like a few lines. And this one, because it's the bio block, it's a shared block, and so it's going to be the same on all the different page in which you put it. The content is going to be the same. So that should be the short version of your bio, but you can, and if it's relevant, have a page where you talking about your story in more details.
I like that a lot. Do you have any other notes on this website?
I think that was the main thing here. Oh, yes. One thing you can do too is take advantage of the footer here. Because this is very, I mean, there is your terms of services and privacy policy. That's something that needs to be on all your pages. That is there by design, by default, by with Podia all the time. But what you can do is maybe add another newsletter here. You can add a newsletter block. And maybe if you have a main affiliate you are working with, here putting an affiliate link or a link to your social media as well. That's a good opportunity for you to get people to more of your universe.
Yeah, that's a great call out. Yeah, the footer, it's kind of, I think of it, with my experience, it ends up being an afterthought. Um, but it's just a great, way when people are kind of scanning through your site, they eventually reach that. And it's just a good way to give people quick ways to get to some of the, basic information, and find ways to connect with you. And I actually should have known this. I didn't know that about the terms of service and privacy policy, that they are automatically included in the footer. So for anyone who's like, oh, how do I put together a terms of service and privacy policy, it's already done for you. So that's great.
Yes.
Do you,
Well, that's
we,
something actually we should point that out.
yeah,
Terms of services and privacy policy, depending on the country where you are in, and I know this because I work with French entrepreneurs, they need to be different than the ones by default. So you need to check that out, and you can modify them in the editor of the website on Podia. And you really need to put those two in accordance to the laws in your country.
that's very, very good advice. Yeah. Thank you for pointing that out.
Mhm.
A quick question from the audience related to this. So, AI Marketing Plan says, where do I edit the footer? I couldn't find it. Do you mind showing that
Oh,
to us on the Podia website editor?
sure. So we're back on the editor and on all the pages of your website. So would you be uh, in your front page or in any of the sales pages as well? You will always have at the end the option to click on the footer. You click on it, and on the side, it's just like a block. You have all the different parts that you can add. You don't have as many options as the rest of the page, but you can do a lot already with what's in there. It works the same way as the header. Right? If you click on the header, you can modify that here too.
That's great. Yeah. So don't, It's on every single page, and all you got to do is click on it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, do you want to get into a few questions that we have for this website?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Let me go back here. So, one of the first questions was from Project 2 Million. They ask, how long should a bio be? I believe mine is too long. You already did kind of address this, but they say, I believe mine is too long. And I have seen some that lose me after the first paragraph or two. Suggestions on bio length.
So yeah, if you are lost after one paragraph or two, that's because usually a paragraph or two is enough for the short version of your bio. Then you can have a page that is about you and about your story, but it should be constructed like almost like a blog post, with titles and focused on giving value and um, showing off. Well, not showing off, that's not the right verb, but showing your expertise.
All right, and then another question, which you already kind of pointed out, but I think it might be good to dig into this a little bit from Gloria. She says, too many words for the homepage, don't you think?
Too many in here, yeah, there is definitely too many words. And it was the same. It's the struggle of the front page. It's a difficult exercise to build a front page because you have to know exactly what you stand for and what your clients want. So your front page is a work in progress. It's going to grow with your business as you get to know the clients that you are working with. You're going to see and have breakthroughs sometimes of saying, yeah, I shouldn't say that like this. I should say it like that. And I'm modifying my front page all the time because as I meet with clients, I understand them more and more. And I get feedback sometimes also on how they found me. And this influences what I think about my front page. So, yes, a front page should be short, or rather not too long. But I know that's not very helpful ways to talk about it if I say not too long, but it should do its thing, right? I should get to know you, understand what you're doing, and then have the links between the different parts of your website. That's basically what it's supposed to do. So however short you can make it while still being relevant is the answer to how long a front page should be.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like a great question to ask is, um, what's the minimum amount of information I need to capture a person who's coming to my website for, XYZ. So imagine somebody visiting your website, they want to learn more about who you are. Having a full length bio on your website, it might capture that person. They might actually read it, but you could also just have a couple of short paragraphs and a read more button, and that would take them to another page where there's more information. And then you're not alienating all of the other different types of people who are visiting your website for other reasons.
Yeah. And it all depends also on your overall strategy. For example, on Just Friendships, my front page is just like sign up to the newsletter, and then I have my products. Because I know that people who arrive on my front page are people who have heard my podcast, or they have watched a video, or they have read something about me, and then they arrive on the front page. And what I want to do with those people is get them into my newsletter. And it's in my newsletter that I get to know them and they get to know me. You got to think about the strategy in that sense. Where are the people coming from? How much do they know about me when they arrive on the front page?
Yeah, that's also a really great call out. Okay, well, I'm just going to bring in a couple more comments. So, uh, Project 2 Million says, seems important to make sure you prove your credentials without posting your whole resume. So I like that metaphor.
Yeah,
And
definitely. It's not a LinkedIn page, it's your website.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lauren says, thank you for all the tips.
You're very welcome.
All right. So, all right. Well, this has definitely been super, excuse me, super insightful, super helpful. Just one moment. Forgot to take
No
my
problem.
allergy medication this morning.
Oh, it's the season.
Yeah, for sure. So, Project 2 Million says this is a really helpful workshop. So, I really appreciate you coming on and taking the time. Tammy says, thank you. Fantastic info. Yeah. And I appreciate how, as we went through the websites, uh, there were definitely some, kind of overlapping themes, but you called out so many different things that are so valuable. And uh, it's so interesting to me that just on the homepage, there's so many different things to think about in order to make an effective homepage. And so I really appreciate you taking the time to share your expertise and kind of explain each of those things with us.
No worries. I love that. I love doing that.
All right. Well, thank you, folks, so much for tuning in. Marie is one of our Podia Pros, and Podia Pros is a program that can connect you with expert designers, specialists, and educators who know Podia inside and out. And you can learn, there's Marie right there. You can learn more about this program at podia.com/podia-pros. And if you want to have your website reviewed by a Podia Pro and have a chance to win up to $2,000, we're doing a fellowship for the month of May. You can go to podia.com/creator-fellowship and apply by submitting your Podia website by May 9th. And if you enjoyed today's website reviews, we've got more coming over the next several days. The best way to tune in is to visit our YouTube channel, and under the live tab, you can click notify me for any of those live streams that look interesting to you. Marie, thank you. Marie, I really need to take just French it. Thank you again so much for being here. Thank you for sharing so many great insights. If folks want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, it's myname.com. So mariedrouvin.com. And you can book a meeting with me if you want me to review your site with you. And so we can work on improving that if you want to.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you again very much. And thank you, folks, for tuning in. And we will see you next time.
Bye.